Professor Richard Bell, thank you very much for your Faraday seminar, Mind and Matter, the World as Representation in Quantum Theory. Could you just summarise in a few sentences what you covered today?
Yeah, sure. In the first part of the lecture, I was trying to put over the philosophical framework in which I'm working, and this has been called transcendental idealism. Transcendental idealism, and the two philosophers I was talking about were Kant and his disciple Schopenhauer. And one of the key ideas they have is that we as subjects form a world of representation. So you could see this world of representation as the object. And what I was trying to argue in this lecture is that there's a correlation between subject and object, and that perhaps the rationality of the universe is reflected in the rationality of the subject. So this is one of the key ideas I was trying to get over. And then in the second part of the talk, I was applying this to quantum theory and what quantum physicists are saying. According to people like Kant and Schopenhauer, we form this world of representation, but we can never know things as they are in themselves. When you look at what quantum physicists are doing, they're doing measurements, they're encountering this phenomenal world, but sometimes you get the impression from quantum physicists that there's a reality underlying that which they cannot access. So I was trying to apply Kant to quantum theory in that way.
One thing you mentioned was that you talk about the human mind written into the fabric of the universe. And could you just say what you mean by that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is a sort of phrase that Paul Davies uses at the end of his book, The Goldilocks Enigma. And this is related to what we call the anthropic principle. You know, how is it that the universe is so finely tuned so as to give rise to, you know, human life? And I suppose what I'm trying to argue in this paper is that the fact that the mind is written into the fabric of the universe should not surprise us so much, because the universe itself is a representation of the human mind. So for example, when I look at this lecture hall here, I, as subject, am encountering chairs and light is being scattered off those chairs, I'm perceiving certain colours. I'm forming a representation of this lecture hall. A dog would form a rather different representation. A bat would form something yet different. So I suppose what I'm saying is that as human beings form representations of this phenomenal world, surely it's no surprise that there's some correlate to the human mind in the physical, what we call the physical universe.
And what theological implications do you draw from these ideas? Yeah,
there's some quite important ones, because first of all it's pointing to the limitation of the human mind. Again, we cannot know things in themselves. If you believe in God, you could say that only God can encounter things as they are in themselves. So that's one possible theological implication. The second is this: you could argue that God creates the noumenal world, creates things as they are in themselves, and we as human beings placed in this world form a world of representation. So we form the phenomena. So in a sense, we are co-creators